In this session, we're going to go really deep into service. We're going to talk about big trends impacting service professionals and service organizations, technologies, and some other really cool surprises. However, it's going to be a little bit of a twist. I know we've had some serious Zoom fatigue out there, so I'm going to invite Chris McGugan, the Senior Vice President of Oracle CX Service. He's in charge of all our development, calls all the shots around here. He's the head honcho, and I am going to blast him with rapid fire questions. Some of them are going to be about his take on the industry. Some of them are going to be about Oracle strategy. Some of them are going to be just mild curveballs that have nothing to do with anything that I'm throwing in there just to catch him off guard. So he's only been mildly prepped. And stick with us, because you're either going to learn a lot about the future of service, or you might see a grown man crumble under pressure. So let's get started. Chris, are you out there?
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me today, sir.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and say hello to everybody out there in internet land.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're enjoying Zoom today.
Yeah. All right, Chris, I'm going to hit you with a bunch of questions. I have them right here. I'm going to start with the obvious one that's on everybody's mind. Have you ever been mistaken for George Lucas?
You know, if I could have $1 for every time I've been asked that in an airport, yeah, I have been asked that before.
Okay. Now, second question. If you were George Lucas, where do you stand on the prequels?
You know, I haven't seen any of them. I'm old school. I like the original series.
All
I
right.
have seen The Mandalorian.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. All right. Well, Chris, how long have you been at Oracle?
I joined Oracle 9 months ago.
9 months, man. Well, welcome home. And where were you before Oracle?
I was the Chief Technology Officer for Avaya.
All right. Now, you've been in this industry a long time. You've got a very storied career. Why did you choose to come to Oracle now, out of all places you could have gone?
You know, coming to Oracle was all about access to data, the ability to use it in different ways, really, really important for me.
All right. So, it's interesting you bring that up, because at the top of the event, Rob Tarkoff was talking about data a lot too. And he was really passionate about Oracle's Unity project and, all these cool use cases and everything that are coming in for service. Is there anything that really excites you about Unity and the service market that you're operating in?
Absolutely. I mean, Unity is unique in that, the use cases you can think of around using Unity to make better decisions, better routing decisions, better work assignment decisions, it's huge.
Yeah. Is there a use case that you're really excited about?
Exactly that. Really being able to leverage Unity to change the way that we work a service ticket, a work item, how we assign an agent, all of that ties together into a big data conversation.
Okay. Well, for a guy who loves data and is excited about data, you've come to the right place, Chris, because Oracle, we live and breathe data. All right. Random question. What's the last show you binge watched?
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Okay. You got to check out Cobra Kai if you haven't yet. That's
yeah.
Big one for me. Okay. And if you could, this is something the development teams were asking. If you could bring back any show from your youth as the next big Netflix reboot, what would it be?
Land of the Lost.
Oh, good call. Solid. That would actually be a great series with modern special effects. Last question. If you could force everyone in Oracle to watch a series, which one would you make them watch?
Outlander.
Wow. Okay, you're sending a message there with that one, because Outlander can go a lot. People have strong opinions on it. All right, well, we'll bring it back into the questions. I want to talk to you a little bit about channels real quick, Chris. What is your favorite channel to receive customer service on?
Chat.
Chat? Why do you like chat so much?
It's asynchronous. The fact that I can bring it up, I can multitask, which seems to be the usual way of my day. It's more convenient for me.
Okay, so here's a little different take on it. Know your father. What would be your children's favorite channel?
I think it would be chat asynchronously, right? I mean, you think of a teenager today. You can't call them. You can give them a phone, but if you text them or WhatsApp them, they'll get back to you faster than anything.
So basically, you like chat. Your kids like chat. They like that asynchronous communication. So you identify kind of as a Gen Z now.
Yeah, the gray hair does that, doesn't it?
All right. Well, since we're talking kids, the next question is actually coming to you from a fifth grader. So take it away, fifth grader.
Hey, Chris, I've been doing homeschool for the past 9 months on video. Do you think we'll get service like this in the future?
Well, Teddy, I think video is here to stay for a lot of different reasons, but video customer service is definitely something that is going to be prevalent in the industry.
So, building on that, Chris, let's expand on that for a minute. What do you think the big advantages of people going to like these rich media like video chat and co-browse and all these things? What's the advantage for a service organization?
Well, it's just that it's the ability to go more immersive in your customer service experience. I mean, if you can't be there live, video is the next best possible medium.
Okay, so what's the disadvantage of going this direction?
Is everybody video ready? Right? Is your home video ready? Is your call center going to be video ready? That's one of the question marks. I mean, look at the swords, man. You're a little scary.
That is a little bit over the top. I totally get what you're saying, and I don't think people would want me to be giving them video service, for like, baby supplies or something like that. Maybe Benihana or something along those lines, where it's part of the brand. Okay. Is there anything in your house that is not video ready?
Oh, I'm certain my 14-year-old bedroom is not video ready.
Okay, but I'm not going to ask you to show us right now. Otherwise, normally I would. Well, we've been talking about video, but you know what? I got another question coming in here. And this one is actually coming from a partner. Take it away.
Hi, Chris. Rowan Trollope with Five9, one of your CX ISV partners. So my question is, with everyone moving to digital channels, what role will voice or the phone play in the future of service?
Rowan, that's a great question. And thanks for being such a great partner. Voice is changing substantially as we've kind of come through COVID, right? The dependence on digital is definitely heavy in different industries. But I think obviously voice isn't going anywhere, but we are seeing a significant amount of traffic move to digital as a result of, work from home policies that didn't exist before, and just the drive for more information.
All right. Well, I was going to ask you, I want to bring this all the way back to your other comments on data and all the channels. We talked a little bit about your chat and the asynchronous, and now Rowan's talking about the voice because, it's not going away. We talked about video. Out of all these channels, which one do you think is going to benefit the most from this data story that we've been talking about all day so far?
I think every channel benefits from data. It's the driving logic behind everything that we do, from work assignment, call routing, text routing, you name it. All of it's based on data.
All right, good deal. Well, all right, I'm going to throw you another couple curveballs as we transition to the next session. I was going to ask you, I'm really excited because I know Razor's going to be talking in one of the breakouts we have coming up. You excited about Razor?
I'm not a gamer. My son is, and he's got a really crazy, cool Razer keyboard that he has. It's just changing colors all the time. I don't know how it would make me crazy to work on it, and it's crazy loud too. But hey,
I was going to say I'm a fan too. I got my Razer mouse right here. Can you show us your keyboard?
He's doing homework right now. If I go take his keyboard, it's not going to work.
I was going to say, and that sound that drives you nuts, it's like a machine gun, man. You got to embrace it. That's when stuff is happening. My family hears it down the hall. It's fantastic. It's going to be a great session. But you know what? Let's transition again and get back to business. We talked a little bit about, digital channels and chat and all these things, but, there's an element to service that will always be uniquely human. And there's always going to, when the rubber meets the road, there's somebody on the other end of the line, and we need to create great experiences for them too. So for this next segment, I'm going to kick it off with a question from an essential worker. Take it away, essential worker.
Hey, Chris. Being an essential worker, I still have to travel to work, but I know most service professionals now work from home. How are you helping them support me?
We're bringing together knowledge, data, and information so that those agents can still operate from home.
Very good. Do you think more people are looking at agent experience since COVID-19, or are they still really focused on the digital channels?
I think there's a bit of both. I mean, agent experience is important because your biggest cost in a contact center is agent turnover. And so really being able to create a rich experience for those guys stuck at home is really important.
Now, people are operating all their contact centers remotely right now. I mean, you and I are remote right now too. What do you think the hardest part about operating a remote contact center is?
When they were in a physical call center, a rep could raise their hand or ask their supervisor to come over and help. That's all gone. That's only happening over digital communications between agents and supervisors.
All right. So in your opinion, what makes really great agent experience?
Simplicity, cleaning up the desktop. It's most agents have got a ton of things going on at the same time.
All right. So if you can give them a simplistic experience, they're going to be happier and they can spend more time with customers rather than hunting for stuff and everything. That's been a big part of our message for a long time. Somebody asked me this question today. With everybody working remotely now and all these contact centers that were like centralized and, they sent everybody home and they're doing their job on Zoom and stuff like that. In a lot of cases, service got better actually, when people were at home and more comfortable and stuff. So the question is, when all this is over, are all those contact center workers going to want to go back? What do you think?
COVID has changed so many things, so many business processes. I mean, I don't know. I'm not ready to go back into the office except to not be with my kids all day, every day. But I don't know. I think everybody has tried out a new business process here and a new way of working, and it is working. And from a development perspective, we're actually running more efficiently than ever before.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up because I was thinking I worked in a contact center once upon a time, and I was thinking about if they had the option to work from home and I could still deliver outstanding experience, I might be more drawn to the job than I was if I knew I was just going to go in and be chained to a desk with the headset on. But I want to ask you another question though, because it's not as easy as that. And everybody out there listening to this knows that. I was talking to a potential Oracle customer. He was interested in our solutions. And we were listening to some calls and everything that they were doing. And it was really interesting. I listened to a call and the service agent had to toggle between 20 different screens, 20, I counted them up, to answer what seemed to be a very simple, straightforward service request. What's the record number of tabs you've seen, Chris?
About as many. I mean, call center agents are constantly having to juggle between knowledge and chat apps and CRM and all of that. That's why simplicity and really what we're trying to do with driving the best possible agent experience is so important.
Right. So I got to ask you this question. I early in my career, I was in a contact center. What was your first paid job, Chris?
Cutting lawns.
Cutting lawns. You know what? Everybody starts somewhere. And you're clearly you love the grass. So what's your golf handicap?
12.2.
12.2. All right. And are you golfing this weekend?
I hope so. No, I am. I'm playing in a tournament on Saturday.
Really? All right. You're a pro. Okay. So we talked about, the human experience. Now let's go the other end of the spectrum and let's talk about the automation and the robots and everything like that. So first question for you, do you prefer self-service or assisted service?
Kind of depends on what I'm working with, but I'm a big self-service fan.
I'm a big self-service fan myself. I got a PhD in YouTube. And, about over 80% of customers say the same thing. So I was going to ask you, if you're going through self-service and, you ever engage with digital assistants?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Have you ever been chatting? I know you love chat. And thought you were chatting with a real person and then been tricked and realized you were talking to a bot?
Yeah, I have. And I got a fun example of that. My wife was online looking at a purse. And so I started chatting with what I thought was an agent to find out, because she had a very specific question. She wanted to make sure her iPad would fit inside of it. And only to realize that the bot all of a sudden realized they couldn't answer the question if an iPad would fit in that particular purse. So it was kind of funny that I was getting service ahead of it, finding out it was in stock and everything. But then when I went deeper, it went, wait a minute, let me get you to a human.
Oh, that's great live escalation and everything like that. That's how this world is supposed to work. It's supposed to be seamless. But yeah, I've been tricked myself. And I was going to ask you a question. These digital assistants, everybody out there, it's top priority right now. We need, nobody can staff a contact center that will be on every single channel, answering every question 24 hours a day. And also customers don't prefer that. Just like you and me, a lot of us prefer the self-service path and we want the assistant to pop up at the right moment. But this is a crowded space. Everybody's got a chatbot. Everybody's got a digital assistant. And Oracle, I know we're investing a ton of R&D in this space. I mean, we're really big on this. what do you think makes our digital assistant, what are we bringing to the market, Chris, that other people aren't? What do we bring to the table that would make people consider us?
When you start thinking about a digital assistant strategy, it really does come down to who's got the best AI, to be honest with you, because the experience we just talked about, the fact that you want to be able to seamlessly transition from human to agent from agent to automation, then maybe even back to agent if it has to. And being able to do that seamlessly really means you've got to be really, really rich on NLP and really rich on data.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it kind of always comes back to. I know data is a theme and everybody out there is like, maybe we're sounding like a broken record, but none of these digital assistants work if it doesn't have a place to go look up an answer. I mean, you've got to give it that information so it can do its magic. Quick question for you, Chris. I think a lot of people watching this are actually really just starting down the path of doing full digital automation. Any advice for them on where they should start?
Probably the best place to start is with your customer master data and really look at cleaning it up. That's something that most enterprises really haven't tackled very well, and starting there.
Okay, very good. Yeah, because you don't want the digital assistant delivering bad info back, because that's just going to frustrate people to no end. Okay. If we came to you and said, hey, Chris, we want you to build the digital assistant for Oracle, but you get to name it, what would you name your digital assistant?
I'm going to name it after my daughter, Eiley.
Eiley? Oh, that's a great name. We have a digital assistant out there named Holly, who's a good friend of ours, over at the ParcelNet company in the UK. Okay, so next question, actually just out of curiosity, since we're talking about AI and everything, which dark future version scares you the most? Living under a Skynet from the Terminator, or living under that giant internet brain from the Matrix?
Ooh, probably the Matrix.
Oh, really? Yeah. See, I'm kind of a Terminator man myself, but I support the answer fully. Okay. Now, we talked about digital assistants don't work in a vacuum. You talked about the data and various things like that. And all the way back at the beginning of the event, Rob got really excited when he talked about this thing that Oracle does called the digital trifecta. What can you tell us about the digital trifecta, Chris?
Well, it's kind of everything we've talked about today. It's bringing together data, it's bringing together proactive service, it's bringing together knowledge at the point of need. And it really is about bringing the right information at the right time to the right agent.
Very good. I'm going to ask you, the right information, right time to the right agent, but delivering it at the point of need proactively. I really believe that proactiveness is what makes service automation sing. What are some of the things Oracle is doing on the proactive service front?
Some of the most simplistic stuff is with our inlays, really being able to prompt a consumer or a user into moving into a digital conversation. Right.
Yeah. Or our inlay story is really cool. Or just like, hey, here's some knowledge articles that might help you because I can sense that you're being stuck. There's a signal here that's coming up that says you need service. And, another great customer of ours said it's great when they pop up because the customer doesn't need to get out of the pool, get cold and come back. They don't need to go up to that support tab, go someplace else and find their way back to where they were. And also it's only going to interrupt them if we think they need it. It's a great story. All right. I was going to ask you just a couple of softball questions here. How have you been keeping yourself busy during lockdown? You're not golfing.
I'm an avid Peloton rider. I do it every morning.
All right. Every morning. Wow. You must be ripped. I'm going to ask you another question. When all this is over, when the lockdown is done, everything's open. Like you can do whatever you want. What's going to be the first thing you're going to do?
Probably hop on a plane to London.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I forgot about that. I miss travel. All right. And last question on this. Ahead of the pandemic, if we have to go back into lockdown again, what's the one thing in your house that you're going to be stocked up
on? Probably paper products.
I think we all learned our lesson there. Okay, Chris, you're doing great. So let's talk about some of the big picture items here. You were talking about the digital trifecta, and we talked about digital assistants and bots and knowledge and inlays and how that could proactively engage customers and everything like that. But a lot of this is about engaging customers. Eventually, you got to solve their problem. I mean, you got to create a very positive outcome. What are some of the things people should consider when designing processes that involve the actual service execution? Go.
This is actually where Oracle really shines, and it really means bringing all the various pillars of your organization together, having access to ERP, having access to sales platforms, having access to HCM. All of these things matter, and really being able to help an agent or an interacting person to have the most amount of information about a consumer at the right time.
Right. And now, so this is something that everybody in the industry hears about. I mean, when you really want to do it right, you're engaging not just on updating your service, you're engaging on full digital transformation. Now, you mentioned a lot of things. You got your HCM over here. You got your, supply chain. You have your sales. You have your marketing. You have your service. If you want to connect all those things and create this amazing customer experience, in your opinion, who is the best person in the organization to lead such a project?
That's an interesting question. Some companies have gone to the point of establishing a chief digital officer or even a customer experience officer. And really what they're doing is saying, hey, I really believe in this, but I want to create the best possible experience no matter what medium I'm interacting over.
It's actually, I've read about 10 books about this right now, the concept that you're bringing up, Chris. And it is fascinating because we've gone from technology has changed things, work has changed things. The last thing that actually has changed in this world of customer experience is the org chart. And we know that's what's coming next. So, hey, going back to this, so when you're looking at digital transformations and front and back office projects and everything like that, we do a lot of this at Oracle. And I know you've been here only 9 months, but what was the most fascinating thing you've seen us do at Oracle connecting CX with the back office?
We've got a number of customer implementations that are just pretty impressive that really bring field service together with the back office solutions that are there. There's quite a few that have done some pretty impressive stuff out there.
Yeah, I think the one you're mentioning is our service logistics, which is, gives these guys the ability, like a guy in the field who's hanging off a radio tower can track a part that's still in China right from his phone. And you got to think when you have that level of fluidity, that you can create these amazing scenarios. And I'm glad you brought that up because this next question is actually coming from a field service worker. Take it away, field service worker.
Hey, Chris. Not everyone delivers customer experience from behind a desk. What about us out here in the field? What's the future look like?
Our field service solution is pretty awesome. It really brings the ability for you as a field service worker to have access to all the data that would normally be sitting at a supervisor's desk or back at the call center agents. You don't have to make that phone call. You've got the ability to see your schedule, track your parts, know where your other jobs are, know where your other techs are.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And we also in field service, we talk a little bit about like the kind of the Uber model that keeps on coming up. And I know your teams have put a lot of work into that. Can you tell us a little bit about Where's My Tech?
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. And it's more than just Where's My Tech, but it's also, where's my inventory? So if you're a customer interacting with a tech, you've got the ability to chat, you've got the ability to reschedule, you've got the ability to see where they are on a map. And if you're on the tech side of it, you know where your other technicians are. What if you needed a particular part and it was in another tech's van on the way to your next call? You could drive by, pick it up, and still make that call happen.
It's so cool how much that whole world has changed, and we're all really excited about it here. So let's just bring it all the way back to data again, because I know that's why you're here. That's why you came to Oracle. We talked about data working with bots. We talked about data helping the agent and the agent experience. But now we're talking about your back office systems, your front office systems all coming together. And you have your chief digital officer in place, just like you mentioned earlier. What role is data going to play in that world?
It's still going to be the most important component of your solution stack, because really bringing the right, again, we've said it before, bringing the right data to the right people at the right time.
Now, we talked about this before too. If data is going to be the most important part, what is, and that's going to be driving front, back office and everything. And that's the critical inch. where do people need to start when looking at data-driven service?
I mentioned it earlier. It really is about master data, customer master records, deduping what you may have in your system, purging things that don't belong. It happens. Businesses, just like your closet, continue to gather things over time, and you just have to clean it up.
Absolutely. And our customer data management tools that we've been working on, this is our heritage coming to the forefront, and it's going to be vital in this new world. Well, Chris, I think you did a fantastic job. How do you think it went?
Well, you guys all will be the judge of it. I hope everyone enjoyed our time with us today. I really appreciate your consideration. We've got a lot of great content, and thanks for sticking with us.
Well, thank you, Chris, for being a good sport, for answering the technical questions, for answering the personal questions. And everyone out there, thanks for sticking with us.